For the past month, this channel has been reading skill repositories the way other people read novels. The personal collections from famous engineers, the search giant's official set, the other big lab's entire plugins marketplace with its own skills format inside. A gold rush of instruction files, everyone publishing their playbooks for how an AI agent should work. And through all of it, one voice stayed silent, the company that invented the format, the one whose model all these files were originally written for. Everyone was speaking their language, and they weren't saying a word. This week, they finally spoke. Anthropic published an official skills repository, and I read every single skill in it, line by line the same morning it crossed the trending page. 3 things you should know before we open a single file. First, and I still can't quite believe this is real, the repository doesn't just contain example skills. It contains the actual production instructions behind one of the product's headline features, not a cleaned-up demo version. The real files, running right now for millions of users, which means that for the first time, you can read exactly how a frontier lab instructs its own model when the stakes are its own product. There's a twist buried in the licensing that tells you precisely how much they were willing to give away, and it's the most honest answer to who pays we've had all month. Second, the craft inside is almost the opposite of what the community has converged on. Everything we've learned reading the Gold Rush, the long files, the loud rules, the personality, the home team, does it differently, quieter, shorter, and with one move nobody else is making. They keep pushing the work out of language entirely into something that can't be misread. When you see it, you'll want to rewrite every instruction file you own. And third, my favorite, the repository contains a confession. A sentence written by Anthropic about a weakness in their own model's behavior, stated plainly in an official file, with the workaround attached. It's the single most useful sentence I've read about making skills actually fire, and it comes from the only source that would know. Plan what shipped, the architecture of a skill done right. The Description Doctrine, the code over tokens move, the strangely quiet guardrails, the 2 places the home team breaks its own rules, what's missing from the set and who's paying for all of it. Then the lessons you can steal this afternoon, whatever agent you run. Standards note, I pulled the full repository this morning and read all of it. Every skill file, the scripts, the template, the licenses. Everything quoted is verbatim from those files, and where a claim is the repository's own, like what powers what in production, I'll label it as theirs. Let's go. What actually shipped? The repository contains 18 skill files, 17 real skills, plus a template so small I'll read it to you in full later. They fall into 2 families and the split between them is the story. Family 1, the production document skills. 4 of them, Word documents, PDFs, slide decks, spreadsheet, and here the README says something I want to quote exactly, because I've never seen a lab do this. These are the skills that, in their words, power Claude's document capabilities under the hood, shared. Quote, as a reference for more complex skills that are actively used in a production AI application. Sit with that. When the product builds you a slide deck, these files are the instructions it follows. The playbook is public. Every judgment call about how an agent should produce a professional document, written by the people with the most skin in the game, tested by more real-world runs than any instruction file in history, readable this morning by you. Family 2, 13 example skills builders. A skill for creating skills, a skill for building tool servers, one for web artifacts, one for testing web apps, creative systems, canvas design, algorithmic art, themes, even an animated emoji maker for chat workspaces, and office life, internal communications, brand guidelines, document co-authoring. Now the twist I promised. The 2 families ship under different licenses. The 13 examples are Apache 2.0, genuinely open, use them anywhere. But the 4 production document skills carry this front matter verbatim, license, proprietary. .license.txt has complete terms. The README states it plainly, source available, not open source. You may read the crown jewels, you may learn from them, running off and reselling them is a different conversation. Remember that split? It comes back at the end, because it is the invoice. The architecture, a skill is 3 layers, and the numbers are published. The best file in the repository is the skill that teaches skill making, because in it, the home team writes down the actual context arithmetic everyone else handwaves. Verbatim, their 3-level loading system. Level 1, metadata, the name and description, always in context, about 100 words. For every skill you install, this is the permanent tax. 100 words, always there. Level 2, the skill file body. Loaded only when the skill triggers under 500 lines ideal. Level 3, bundled resources as needed, unlimited. And here's the phrase that matters. Scripts can execute without loading. And the bodies obey the budget. Across the 17 real skills, the median is 129 lines. Half the official set is shorter than a college essay. The community files we've read this month routinely run several hundred lines before their first concrete instruction. That last clause is the quiet revolution. A script can do its work without ever entering the model's context. 1,000 lines of battle-tested Python costs 0 words of attention. The instruction file just has to know the script exists and when to call it. So the economics of a skill are: the description is nearly free but permanent, the body is expensive but occasional, and the tooling is unlimited and invisible. Context is a budget, and the entire official design is shaped around spending it late. The community files we've read this month mostly spend it all up front. And the whole spec, distilled. The repository ships a template, 6 lines, name, description, with the note, describe the skill, and when Claude should use it, a heading that says insert instructions below. That's it. That's the format war's winning format, 6 lines in a folder. The Description Doctrine and the confession. If the official set has one obsession, it's the description field. The skill creator file calls it verbatim. The primary triggering mechanism include both what the skill does and specific contexts for when to use it. All when to use info goes here, not in the body. Why the fixation? Because of the confession, the sentence I flagged in the open, quoting the official file word for word. Currently, Claude has a tendency to undertrigger skills, to not use them when they'd be useful. To combat this, please make the skill descriptions a little bit pushy. Anthropic in an official repository, documenting a behavioral weakness of their own model and prescribing the fix. Not our model intelligently selects the right skill. The honest version, it hesitates, so write descriptions that lean on it. They even show the technique. Don't write how to build a dashboard. Write use this whenever the user mentions dashboards, data visualization, metrics, or wants to display any kind of data, even if they don't explicitly ask for a dashboard. And they practice it. Listen to the opening of the slide deck skill's actual description. Use this skill anytime a PPTX file is involved in any way, as input, output, or both. Trigger whenever the user mentions deck, slides, presentation. If a PPTX file needs to be opened, created, or touched, use this skill. That's not documentation prose. That's a tripwire, engineered. Here's the law I'd cut into stone from this section. The description is the product, the body is the manual. A skill that never fires is indistinguishable from a skill that doesn't exist. And the home team just told you in writing that firing it is the hard part. Code over tokens, the move the community isn't making. Now, the deepest difference between the official craft and everything else we've read this month. Count the executable scripts in this repository. 70 Python files. The community packs we've covered ship almost none. Open the slide deck skill, and it barely explains anything. It's a routing table, creating a deck, write a script against the pre-installed library, reading one, run the converter, need to see every slide, Python scripts, thumbnail.py, duplicating a slide with all the packaging bookkeeping. There's a script, cleaning orphaned media, script, validating the finished file against the format's actual schema with, and I love this, an auto repair flag for common breakage, script. The instructions don't teach the model how to do delicate XML surgery in prose. They hand it instruments, because a script is deterministic. It cannot hallucinate a malformed relationship file. It does the same thing on run 1 and run 1 million, which is what you need when the output ships inside a product. And then there's my favorite line in the entire repository. After noting the library is pre-installed, with the wonderfully specific instruction, do not run npm install first, the file says verbatim. The model knows the API. These are the footguns. 8 words that contain a whole philosophy of instruction. Don't spend your context teaching what the model already knows. Read the documentation during training. Spend it only on the places where the model predictably breaks. The option object that mutates in place, the call that hangs in a sandbox, the text that fragments across XML runs so a phrase you can see doesn't exist as a string. The footgun list is the one thing training data can't give the model, because footguns are learned by bleeding. The law, teach the gaps, not the API, and if it must be exact, make it a script, not a sentence. A fast tour of the shelf, 5 files worth your evening. Before the audit, 5 stops on the shelf, 1 detail each because the texture is the teaching. The skill creator is the one I'd frame. Its description promises something I've never seen applied to prose. Run evals to test a skill, benchmark skill performance with variance analysis, or optimize a skill's description for better triggering accuracy. Read that again. They treat instruction files as software with a test loop, a benchmark, and statistical variance across runs. The repository even ships the scripts, a run loop and one literally named improve_description. While the community argues about whose prompt feels better, the home team is measuring triggering accuracy with error bars. That's the maturity gap in one file. The tool server builder ships its own evaluation and connection scripts. You don't just get advice on building a server, you get the harness that checks yours works. Advice with a test attached. The Word document skill contains the best single paragraph of applied engineering in the set, an explanation of why find and replace fails in these files. The format splits visible text across many invisible XML runs. So in its words, a phrase you can see in the document often doesn't exist as a contiguous string. And then of course the script that fixes it. A war story and its weapon in 91 lines. The animated emoji maker, the toy of the collection, ships a full animation core, a frame composer, an easing library, validators. Even the joke skill has engineering underneath it. That tells you the bar. And the sleeper document, co-authoring, 375 lines, one of the longest in the set, about the least glamorous topic imaginable, how to work with a human on a document over many turns without losing the plot. The community writes skills about being brilliant. The home team wrote one of its longest files about being a good collaborator. Sit with that priority. The strangely quiet guardrails. Here's the finding that genuinely surprised me, and it's a number. The community instruction files we've read this month shout, capital letters everywhere. Never do this. Always do that. Warnings stacked like sandbags. So before reading closely, I ran a count across all 17 official skills. Every line of every file for those exact screamed imperatives. The word never in capitals appears 3 times. Total. Always. 5. Do not. Once. 17 skills, including the 4 that run in production, and the home team raises its voice 9 times across the entire set. Some community files exceed that in their first screen. How? Because constraint doesn't live in volume here. It lives in structure. The workflow is a table with 1 recommended tool per task, so the wrong path simply isn't offered. The dangerous operations are wrapped in validators that name their own fixes. The exactness lives in scripts. When your architecture prevents the mistake, you don't need to scream about it. There's a lesson in that for every prompt any of us has ever written. Capitals are what you reach for when you haven't built the guardrail. Mature instructions replace volume with structure. The loudest files in this gold rush are, by that measure, the least engineered. Does the home team follow its own spec? 2 honest violations. The audit question this video exists to ask. The spec says, descriptions carry the triggers. Bodies under 500 lines, ideal, structure over shouting, score the 17 against their own rules, and 15 pass clean. 2 don't, and both violations are more interesting than compliance would have been. Violation 1. The API skill is 548 lines, the longest file in the repository, and the only one over its own team's stated 500-line ideal. The spec's author, exceeding the spec lightly, and for a file that's genuinely trying to cover a lot, but the needle sits past the line they drew. Violation 2 is my favorite artifact in the whole release, the internal communications skill. 32 lines, the shortest real skill, and it's written in the first person, verbatim from its description. A set of resources to help me write all kinds of internal communications, using the formats that my company likes to use. Help me, my company. That is not a document written for publication. That's somebody's actual working file from inside Anthropic. The skill an employee uses for status reports and incident updates published with the fingerprints still on it. And honestly, the violations are the best evidence in the repository. Polished marketing sets don't break their own rules. They're written by committees to be admired. Working files break rules because they're used. The imperfections are the authenticity mark. This is the real toolbox, tipped out onto the table, dust included. Verdict on the audit. The home team follows its own spec better than any community set we've read, and where it doesn't, the deviations prove the files are real. What's missing, and what the absence reveals. Read the inventory again and notice what is not there. No coding style skills, no test-driven development skill, no code review skill, no debugging methodology, nothing resembling the workflow opinions that dominate the famous personal collections. No personas, no act as a senior architect. No domain packs for finance or marketing or law. The official set is capabilities and builders. File formats the model must handle deterministically, tools for making more skills and more tool servers, creative systems, office templates, its infrastructure. Now hold the official set against the month's other shelves, because the contrast is the finding. The famous personal collections, essays, workflow philosophy, methodology, taste, often hundreds of lines before a tool appears. The search giant set, terse job descriptions by the dozen. The marketplace distribution first, craft varying wildly stall to stall. And the home team, short routers, 70 scripts measured triggering 9 raised voices. 4 shelves, 4 theories of what an instruction even is, and only one of them ships with a benchmark harness. I don't think the gaps in the official inventory are an oversight. I think they're a worldview, and it completes the map we've been drawing all month. The platform ships capabilities, the community ships opinions. Anthropic will teach the model to produce a valid spreadsheet. That's ground truth, one right answer, their responsibility. Whether your agent should write tests before code, how it should review a pull request, what personality it should wear, that's contested territory. And the home team is conspicuously declining to legislate it. The Gold Rush repositories aren't competing with this set. They're the layer above it, and this release quietly ratifies their role, which also settles where the format war stands. The 3 personal collections prove demand, the search giant standardized, the other big lab launched a marketplace with its own dialect, and now the format's author has responded, not with a lock, but by open sourcing craft. The moat they're choosing isn't secrecy. It's being visibly better at writing instructions than anyone else in public, where it doubles as the reference implementation. Who pays? Find the invoice. Standing rule on this channel: when something this valuable ships free, find the invoice. This time, it's printed right in the front matter. The 13 example skills, Apache 2.0, genuinely free. Take them anywhere, they grow the format, and the format's author benefits when the format wins. The 4 production document skills: readable, learnable, and source available, not open source. You can study the crown jewels. The license is what stops a competitor lifting them into a rival product. And the README's other quiet line: these example skills are, quote, already available to paid plans in Claude.ai. The skills are the free lesson, the hosted, integrated, always-on version of them is the product. That's the cleanest who pays answer of the month. Generosity with the knowledge, a license on the production assets, and the convenience sold as a plan. Nothing hidden. It's all in the files, which is, itself, the point of reading them. What to do with this? 3 moves today. Analysis should end in action. So before the caveats, 3 concrete moves depending on who you are. If you run the product or the coding agent, the example skills are, per the README, already live on paid plans, but the deeper move is reading them anyway, because every skill you write yourself from now on should be held against this bar. Take your most used personal skill tonight and run the home team's audit on it. Does the description carry every trigger? Is the body under the budget? Is anything exact still living in prose that should be a script? Mine failed on 2 of 3. I suspect most will. If you build agents on any other stack, nothing in this craft is model-specific. The 3-level loading economics, the pushy descriptions, the footgun doctrine, the whispered guardrails, those are laws of instructing language models. Discovered by the team with the most reps, published free, the 13 Apache skills port anywhere the format is spoken, and after this month, the format is spoken nearly everywhere. And if you publish skills, if you're one of the Gold Rush authors, the bar just moved. A collection without measured triggering is now visibly a draft. The tools to fix that shipped in this very repository: the eval loop, the description improver, the variance benchmark. The home team didn't just enter the competition. It handed every competitor the instruments, which is either generosity or the most confident flex of the year, and I genuinely can't decide. One more honest observation before the limits, because completeness demands it. 2 of the 17, the brand guidelines and theme skills, read as thin next to the rest. Template wrappers, more than engineering. Even the official shelf has its filler, and pretending otherwise would break this channel's rules. Honest limits, 5. 1. I read the repository, I didn't run the skills. No execution testing, no triggering benchmarks. This is a craft audit of instruction files, from source. 2. My counts are a snapshot. 17 skills, 70 scripts, 3 nevers, true for the tree I pulled this morning. Repositories move, the numbers will drift. 3. Powers the product under the hood is the README's own claim. Consistent with everything in the files, but it's their statement reported, not something I can verify from outside. 4. Source available is not open source. If you plan to redistribute or build on the 4 document skills, read their license file first. The other 13 are Apache and genuinely permissive. 5. Skills execute code. These ship 70 scripts, and the whole design philosophy is run the tool. That's exactly why they work, and exactly why you review anything you install, official badge or not. Trust is earned per file, and today, it was earned by reading. Step back. 5 lessons from the home team's playbook, portable to any agent you run this afternoon. 1. Write the trigger, not the essay. All the when to use lives in the description, and the description leans because the author of the model told you in writing that firing is the failure mode. 2. Spend context late. 100 words always, 500 lines on trigger. Unlimited tooling that never loads. 3 levels. Budget accordingly. 3. If it must be exact, make it a script. Language for judgment, code for precision. 4. Document the footguns, not the API. The model read the docs during training. It didn't read the postmortems. 5. Whisper. 9 raised voices across 17 production-grade files. Structure beats capitals. And the Saga this channel has been filming all month closes its loop. The mind became swappable. The body got its first serious infrastructure. And the knowledge layer, the one everyone rushed to fill with opinions, just received its reference implementation from the only party that could write one. Short, quiet, tool-shaped, and honest enough to publish its own model's weakness and its own team's unpolished files. So here's my question, and I'll pin it below, and this one's a challenge. Describe the skill you wish existed in exactly 1 sentence written the official way, what it does, and when it should fire. 1 sentence because the description field is the whole game. You've now seen the masters play it. I'll take the best one from the comments and build it, following the home team's rules in a future video. Your sentence, their craft on camera. Every link, the repository, the skill creator file with the 3-level system and the confession, the production document skills, The 6-line template and our breakdowns of every other set in this saga is in the description. Read the slide deck skill first. It's 238 lines, and it will change how you write instructions. That's the standard here. Every file actually read, the craft measured, the quotes verbatim, and the credit given, including to the violations. If you'd rather own your tools than rent them, subscribe. That's what we do every single day. I'll see you in the next one.